What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dubs Oriented here, and today I'm going to talk about a brand new video for you guys. I'm going to talk about the elders from Craig of the Creek and who they are and what they represent in the show. So make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. So we know the elders that reside in the creek, acting as the somewhat most knowledgeable people of the creek that kids seek out advice and information from that regards the history of the creek. This is because the elders, hence the name, are the oldest kids of the creek, and so they have the most experience of the creek due to them being around since King Kenneth's reign in the creek, and so they are deserving of some respect due to the long relationship they have. These group of elders consist of three boys, one being Mark, who is the leader of the group, and he usually is the one calling all the shots in his faction. Make sure his fellow members keep in line of their respective roles as elders. He can be seen to others as a mean and bossy individual that cannot communicate with others, but overall he is a good person that wants to preserve the history of the place he grew up in, which is the creek, even though he does know the ramifications that come with it, which will be discussed later on in the video. Then we move on to David, who is the most chill amongst the three, who isn't as crazy and strict as Mark, but is also not above doing weird things that may look strange, as to where he can dangerously be dense, to where he wouldn't know the situation he's in. And so David is prone to making mistakes, but he learns along the way to be more mature and just being more of himself and actually growing into his own person. Then, unfortunately, David did leave the elders to join the witches group, which is so sad, but is needed for David to develop into his own person, like I said before. Then, the last and final member, Barry, who is the glue between the group, wanting to always keep the group together, being just an overall good guy. But in some moments, him and Mark clash with each other, having differences in beliefs and ideologies at times. This is because Mark believes in the fact that their roles as elders are to remain in the creek as long as they can, so that they can continue to be the guide and knowledge for the new kids to come. But Barry believes that one day their time as elders will end because they will have to grow up someday and live their own lives away from the creek, similar to what Kenneth did. So both Mark and Barry at times can have their own ideas and disagreements about situations, but at the end of the day, they still value each other as friends. Now let's discuss the biggest elephant of the room, which is the backlash that comes from the elders and them being elders in the creek. So it is obvious that there's an unspoken rule that kids often have to follow or tend to follow in the creek, which is the older a kid gets, the more likely they'll eventually leave the creek. That's just how it is. We see it with the former kings being Cheyenne and Kenneth, who eventually left the former Green Poncho, who even though are aware of this fact, remained in the creek because of their love for the place. And it makes me respect them as characters even more, because I know as a teenager, it can be tough to continue doing what you want or be who you are, no matter the judgment, without giving in to the peer pressure. So for the elders to continue to proudly represent their position as who they are as elders is really inspiring. I've always wondered if the elders as a group have been around for a long time since the existence of the creek, or was it a new thing started by Mark and Kenneth, but with Kenneth's rule as a king? So that's pretty interesting. The elders are one of the most mysterious but interesting part of the series, and I hope later down the line they are fleshed out even more, because as a kid growing up, I've always looked at the elders to be some sort of guiding figure for Craig and his friends and the other kids in the creek, being the oldest kids amongst the creek, having that experience. And so they're used more as mentors for the kids to guide them around the creek and just to advise them on situations that they may run into at times, because they were kind of in Craig and his friends same shoes growing up. So it's pretty cool. I've always was really interested in who they were and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, they're just the older kids who are supposed to be the big brothers of the kids coming in to the creek. So yeah, and I've always been interested in the backlash that the teenagers and the elders face, being old and being at the fact that they're supposed to being high school, and so they should no longer be playing in the creek because they're supposed to be too old for that apparently. So it's always been kind of interesting that teenagers had to face that, because now they have to stop going to the creek because they reached a certain age. Like we see with Xavier's sister Cheyenne, we seen that after her reign as king, go to the creek like the witches, in order to like mess around with the kids. The green poncho, like I said earlier, and unlike the elders, like, so there are still teenagers out there that still go to the creek willingly, not caring about like the backlash or like the judgments of others, which is so cool to me, because it's just a new way for like the author and the writers to actually inspire kids and encourage kids to be who they are, and to like do and to like do what they want to do, no matter the peer pressure and no matter what other people say. It's just like another way of like enforcing that fact, and yeah, just enforcing that example, you know. So that's pretty interesting and really cool. And I just hope that one day we just get more like a deep dive into the characters of the elders, and like why Mark is how he is to this day, being the more strict and like the more serious member of the elders, because we know that with Mark, he's not really somebody that wants to abandon his ideologies of being the elder, because he believes in his role as the elder to like help the new generation and to help the kids that come to the creek. And so I kind of want to see where he got that like characteristic and personality from, because there could obviously be something that's happened in his life where he's been expected to, in a sense, hold on to the stuff that he loves and he holds dear to his heart, because he's probably been subjected to change a lot. So the only thing he probably had that didn't change, or that stayed the same, was probably in the sense of like being the tyrant, because he was a nice and benevolent king. He cared for the kids of the creek. He never really wanted to assert his dominance or power amongst the people, but in a sense he was still pretty like fair, and he was still like he was just a good king overall. But we knew, like, with the whole Heart of the Forest, we knew that he had to give something in order to get what he wanted, which was to like keep his friends, and he had to sacrifice that necklace that him and the elders wear, which is another interesting part of the elders, and how they each of the members keep that necklace, that like friendship necklace that they hold with Kenneth, showing that even after Kenneth left the creek, they still hold him as a friend. And as the series progresses, you know what I'm saying, because there is a lot they could do with the elders and their character, and just to like expand on them a lot more, you know. But yeah, man, I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was kind of all I had for right now. I'm planning on making more videos like this in the future. I want to talk about more characters of Craig of the Creek that don't really get that much highlight or that much attention. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, guys, comment down below on what you guys thought of the video. What did you guys think of the elders? Did you like them? Did you not like them? Did you think they needed to be fleshed out a little bit more? I would like to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.